Man, I so agree. All right, let's talk some sports here. What do you think? Should leagues be shutting down?
No, and no one should be shutting down, not just leagues. This is the entire United States of America. We have a business to run. Ultimately, we are running a business 24/7. When you sleep, business is running. This is real life. A lot of people's livelihoods are at stake. You cannot close the country down. And if the country closes down and people can't put food on their table, they're relying on the government. If that is going to be the play, Americans already know that doesn't work for them. So you have to work under the confines of what actually can be done for Americans. In the case, and in their case, it's working. So if they can work, if they have to work, then you must send them to work, and you have to figure out ways to better and more safely put them out there. So no, the sports leagues, they have to play through it. And I'm almost positive that a 7-foot tall basketball player with 4% body fat can play in the NBA with COVID and not have any risk.
Man, I'm telling you, I've said this. ESPN, when I was there, they charted, we were very concerned that college basketball players in COVID. There wasn't one single player, college basketball, college football, that had any problem with COVID. I'm not saying somebody didn't get sick,
right?
But COVID, pneumonia, mono. Hell, I got mono 30 years ago. I mean, you get – it is cold and flu season, right? I mean, what the hell?
And we leave it up to the individual. How sick are you? How sick do you feel? I don't remember seeing articles of Michael Jordan saying how irresponsible of Michael to go to the arena with the flu. All these people, 15 players on both sides, that's not including staff, all the fans in the crowd. No one talked to Michael Jordan about spreading the flu throughout the entire arena. They said, how sick do you feel? They all knew that he potentially could have been contagious, all these things, but you just get over it because it's Scottie Pippen. It's Dennis Rodman. These guys are in shape. And if they get sick, they can get through it. And so there's no real reason for in shape Americans to be worried about this virus. And I personally am more worried about the fact that we're not worried about our conditioning. How in shape are we? Are we overweight? Do we have pre-existing conditions? And for the most part, these players just don't.
Yeah, it's fast. What do you think about the NHL not sending players to the Olympics?
That's funny. Aren't they 100% vaccinated? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Interesting. So if we all do our part, which Joe Biden has told us that he wants us to do, we would get to the vaccination rate. Hopefully, right? According to Joe Biden, we'd get to their vaccination rate. They're our role models. So if we do that, all systems should be go. However, the NHL, by failing and collapsing and not sending guys to the Olympics, all types of things, they're delaying games. What makes us think that we're any different? We're not in their type of shape. So if they're canceling, if they're not going to send players to the Olympics, what makes you think they're not going to cancel? They're not going to cancel work, government shutdowns? Of course they are, because the vaccine doesn't work. It doesn't work for professional athletes. It doesn't work for the average Joe. So yeah, I'm honestly, in a way, it's like, yeah, you would like the vaccine to work, but at the same time, it's like, I told you so.
All right, you're smart, I'm dumb, you're handsome, I'm ugly. So I'm going to defer to you on this question. You ready?
I'm ready.
What was the difference? Nobody's been able to answer me this question. So the NFL moved a couple games 2 days.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me what difference that made in anything? Because I've tried to find out, but nobody's been able to tell me. 2 days, the Bears changed 2 days. What was the difference? What did that help? Tell me.
They were just buying time. And it's interesting that they want to buy time to get the right players on the field to not destroy the competitive balance. But Americans don't get to buy time. We remember the 2 weeks, and you guys are gonna flatten the curve. And that's really what they were trying to do, is flatten their small curve in the NFL and make everything even and fair. But Americans didn't get that right, which is unfortunate. And it's just the way everyone said 2 weeks. Okay. We all did that. Of course, there were plenty of us who said, we don't really need 2 weeks, but some of us, we went inside and said, this looks like it's getting pretty bad. Let's give ourselves a little leeway. But now that we know better, this whole thing has been going on for 2 years. We know a little break is doing nothing. All it did was allow them to test certain players vigorously so that they can throw them out to pump out money and ratings. It's like you're trying to make money, but so are we. So we need to understand eventually, which you saw with Adam Silver, they're going to throw players out there with COVID, and they're going to start using words like COVID load. They're going to start changing the narrative on COVID so that they can push business. And ultimately, it's actually good for Americans that they're finally collapsing on this thing.
Yeah, what do you think of Silver's statement?
It was 2 years too late.
Right.
And it was 2 years too late. We all knew these things. We were all conspiracy theorists. I am this selfish prick who doesn't care about Grandma Teresa, but Adam Silver is this caring American who really cares about Black people. Phenomenal. Give him the Purple Heart for this man. But then suddenly, when business is now an issue, now we need to figure out ways to make sure we're out there. We need to make sure that we're on the court. We need to make sure we're on the field, because there's money to be made, and it's these guys' livelihood. It's just too bad that 2 years ago we didn't have these sentiments, and it's also very sad that Joe Biden still hasn't made this exact statement. He should.
See, I said earlier, Adam Silver has the media so in his pocket as being this caring, loving, oh my God, I'm for the people. Yeah. He could take a dump in the middle of downtown Indy and someone would say, well, he's just fertilizing the lawn. I swear to God, that's Adam Silver in my world.
I totally agree. And unfortunately, when you control the media and when you control the players, what they're allowed to say, this is what happens. You get a 2 years of a delayed response. And unfortunately, for a lot of Americans, for millions of us, we didn't have 2 years to spare. There's plenty of people that their businesses were shut down. They're not going to be saved by China and by businesses overseas to actually keep you afloat. American businesses need Americans to have money in their pocket. And this is just, it's too late. It's good to hear, but it's sad at the same time.
Let me ask you a question. And this is a very simple question. Where do you get the truth from?
That's hard. That's a hard question, because I always feel like I'm getting loaded words and just, they're steering you in a direction. You can tell what the writer thinks without even reading the content. You can read the title and say, okay, I know what this guy thinks. I know how he's going to shape this conversation. It's really hard to say. You just have to intake both sides, and actually, instead of sharing your opinion, you first have to just think about logically what's happening. And it's really hard to do. I honestly, I can't tell anybody where to go, because I read half my stuff I get from Twitter, and I read both sides. I intake both sides. There's idiots on both sides everywhere regarding COVID or not. And I try to just stay objective with it. And sometimes that's hard.